And LC, this is South Lead. High flow, LO2 chill down has started.
Copy that lead. We'll check step 339 complete. Okay, launch CMLC on countdown 1 at this time. I want a report of readiness for accumulator refill. GCE?
GCEs go.
EHS? EHS 1? And EHS 1, LC, countdown?
Yeah, sorry, LC. EHS is go.
Copy that. Ops 1?
Ops 1 is go.
Prop 2?
Prop 2 is go.
And lead?
And LC's Prop 3, I'll be taking it.
Copy that. Prop 3. We are ready for refill. We'll check step 340 complete. Okay, Prop 3, you can proceed with the HSS accumulator refill, and that's appendix Mike. And are you, let's see, let's go ahead and perform that on standby.
Copy that, standby.
Let's go ahead and perform that on anomaly 3. How copy?
Copy, I don't care. Anomaly 3.
Roger that. Currently, all agencies are not reporting any issues at this time, and we are in the middle of our HSS accumulator refill, our standard procedure for doing that on the BACnet. Our next loading event will be occurring in approximately 4 minutes, and that's when we will transition to our start of our core low-flow LO2 loading. LC out.
And LC, this is Mars on countdown 1. Can I get a comm check?
And Mars, have you loud and clear? Help me.
Copy that, loud and clear. Thank you.
And LC, prop 3 on countdown 1.
Go ahead, 3.
I can verify that accumulator refill is complete.
Copy that, 3. We'll go ahead and check step 341 complete.
NLC prop lead, low flow LO2 loading verified, step 342.
Copy that, lead. We'll check step 342 complete. And launch team, we are passing through T-minus 55 minutes, and our next transition will be to high flow LO2 loading in just about 1 minute.
LC, prop lead, high flow LO2 loading is verified, step 343.
Copy that lead. We'll check 343 complete. Okay, launch team, we just passed through T-minus 50 minutes and counting. Again, no agencies are reporting any issues that they're currently working. We are expecting to come up on the start of, we're expecting to come up on a decision to choose our flight computer trajectory file for today's operation, and we'll be making that decision in about 5 minutes or so, and then we'll upload that up to our flight computer. After that, we'll go ahead and begin our gyro compass alignment on our orb nav. And then after we go into that alignment mode, we'll be looking for confirmation that we have submerging of our cold helium bottles in our core. Elsie. And launch team LC, we're at T-minus 45 minutes and counting. GNC 1, step 344. provide the flight computer trajectory file for today's launch operation.
LC, GNC-1, we would like to select trajectory file 2 for today's operation.
Okay, copy that. Trajectory file 2. Ops 1, step 345, you go to upload trajectory file number 2.
LC Ops 1, trajectory file number 2 selected and uploaded.
LC, GNC-1, trajectory file 2 verified in telemetry.
Roger that, GNC-1. We'll check 345 and 346 complete. And Ops 1, verify ground to vehicle comm is nominal.
And ground to vehicle comm is nominal.
Copy that. We'll check 347 complete. And Ops 1, let's go ahead and press with step 348, verify OrbNav settings.
OrbNav settings verified.
Roger that, and your go to initialize nav position.
OrbNav position sent.
OrbNav telemetry verified.
Okay, copy all. We'll check 349 and step 350. And I want to get a report of readiness to begin gyro compass alignment. GNC-1.
GNC-1 is go.
Ops 1.
Ops 1 is go.
And Elect 1.
Elect 1 is go.
Okay, we're ready for GC align. Ops 1, step 352, mode OrbNav to GC align.
Loading to GC align on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. Time 16:57:02.
LC prop lead, I can confirm step 354. We'll be on top of it.
Copy that. We have step 354. Lead. And launch team passing through T-minus 40 minutes.
LC, prop lead. Start of cold helium bottle charging, verified, step 355.
Roger that lead. We'll check 355 complete.
LC, safety, Countdown 1.
Go ahead, safety.
Stepping up the call.
Copy that. TLM-LC on countdown 1.
Go ahead, LC.
Yeah, step 356, configure LVT comm source to open loop.
LC, TLM, and work. And I'm also going to split the GTLM off one more time.
Copy that.
CTLM, LVDCOM switch to open loop. IRIG is 170125, and LV open loop telemetry being received and nominal.
Okay, roger that, TLM. We'll check 356 and 357. And NASA PM, LC, countdown 1.
Go. That's PM.
Yeah, PM, step 358. You're going to reactivate radar sites and reinitiate C-band transponder interrogation.
Roger, in work.
And I copy.
LC, GNC1, step 353, orbit nav telemetry verified.
Roger that, GNC1. We'll check 353 complete.
See NASA PM, we are active with radars.
Copy that, PM, and I'll wait for your call on step 359.
Test 1 2 1 2 3 4.
LC, safety, Countdown 1, back on call.
Copy that, safety. And PMLC, countdown 1.
Go ahead, LC.
Yeah, I'll wait for your call that range is holding beacon on all radars.
Yes, sir. We're still working.
Okay, roger that.
LC, NASA PM. All
Yeah, go
radars logged.
Okay, roger that. Thanks, PM. Sorry for that. Okay, launch team, we are passing through T-minus 35 minutes. Ops 1, step 360, you go to enable local launch enable button at the fail-safe panel and verify indicator eliminated.
Launch enabled and illuminated.
And GSO, enable your local launch enable button at the failsafe panel. Verify local indicator illuminated.
GSO, launch enabled and illuminated.
After that, we'll check 360 and 361. I want to verify that the RCC enable abort buttons are enabled and illuminated. PM.
PM's enabled and illuminated.
Copy that. And RSO?
RSO is enabled.
And FSO?
FSO enabled.
And TD?
Enabled.
Copy all. We'll check 362 complete. Ops 1, verify master global launch enable.
Global launch enable verified.
Launch enable verified.
Okay, copy all. We'll check 363 and 364. Ops 1, you can stop sending ECU commands.
ECU commands halted.
Copy that. We'll check step 365. Okay, launch team, in a few minutes we'll be coming up on our poll for our final FTS power on and our ARM command test.
LCTD, we're green for debris and toxic.
Copy, range is green for debris and toxic. And launch team, we're at T-minus 30 minutes, step 366, poll for final FTS power on and ARM command test. Safety?
Safety is go.
FSO?
FSO go.
Ops 1?
Ops 1 is go.
Elect 2.
Elect 2 is go.
Okay, we're go for final FTS power on and arm command test. FSO, step 367, bring up command transmitter with check channel on.
FSO in work. LC FSO and 367. WAPS command site on. Check channel radiating.
Roger, FSO, Ops 1, step 368, apply external power to FTSA and FTSB.
And FTSA, external power on. FTSB, external power on.
FTS external power nominal.
Check 368, 369.
FTS safe, config verified, check channel being received. GC nominal.
Copy, Elect 2, Ops 1, step 371, transfer FTSA and FTSB to internal power.
And welcome to our broadcast for the
FTSA and B.
Northrop Grumman
external power
NG-17
on.
launch.
FTSA, external power off. FTSB,
In the background, you're
external
listening to
power
the
off. 17,
loop
11, 40.
for the flight director's loop and the countdown loop going on the NASA TV channel. They're giving us a clean feed with no announcers, which is very, very nice of them today. With me, alongside, as usual, Ken Stomsky.
Good. Let me check. Good afternoon.
It's just past afternoon, yes.
Yes.
And we'll be monitoring the countdown loop in case there's any problems. So far, why don't we just go? You want to go right into the weather briefing? That's the most important.
Let's see how the weather is doing.
The most important part of any of these things is the weather briefing.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go into the weather briefing.
Okay, Elwell, thanks for that update.
Copy that, LC. Only seeing a peak wind of 18 miles an hour the past hour, so seeing those winds continue to increase slowly, expecting that increase more as we get to the next hour. Looking at our current conditions, our current weather, a few clouds around 7,000 feet as well as 25,000 feet off the northwest, seeing a southwesterly wind 7 to 12 knots, gusting as high as 15 to 16 knots, temperature 45 degrees, relative humidity around 45%, sea state, storm remaining at 3 feet. So taking a look at our current satellite imagery, you can see this bank of clouds in the 7,000 foot as well as 25,000 feet around 100 miles to the northwest. It's going to continue to remain off to our north and west and giving us those mostly sunny skies expected. And taking a look at the HERM model for the next few hours, you can see here this is 11 local and then 12 and then 1. You can see the winds increase just after T-minus 0 to 14 knots here, but still expecting very similar forecasts as was briefed earlier with our cloud cover remaining off to the north and west. So taking a look at our upper low wind field, we'll see this observed wind at 4.5 hours before it's T-minus 0, looking at winds around 153 knots out 40,000 feet out of the west-southwest, and that is our peak wind. And the sounding, as you see here, winds are continue to expect to decrease as we move towards T-minus 0 down to 132 knots at 40,000 feet. And taking a quick look at our trend, you can see here the observed balloons from 11, 12, and 13Z, and then a 18Z here just after T-minus 0 forecast is the brown. You can see expected to continue to decrease once we move towards T-minus 0 with those upper level winds decreasing to near 130 knots. So taking a look at our countdown forecast, it's going to continue to see a few clouds around 7,000 feet as well as 25,000 feet. Winds out of a southwesterly direction, 7 to 12 knots, gusting to 17 knots, increasing out of the west-southwest, 11 to 16 knots, gusting to 23 knots, temperature rising from 45 to 48 degrees. We'll see relative humidity values still remaining between 40 and 50% and sea state at 3 feet. So looking at our launch forecast here at WALPS, similar sky conditions we are seeing now. We'll see winds increasing and remaining out of the west-southwest at 14 knots. gusting 25 knots, temperature around 48 to 49 degrees, relative humidity at 40%, sea state at 3 feet. And taking a look at our Bermuda weather, very similar as forecasted earlier, a little bit less low-level cloud cover, a few at 1,500 feet, scatter deck at 4,500 feet, as well as 25,000 feet. Very slight chance of a light rain shower moving north of the island, but overall should stay dry. And seeing a wind out of the southwest, gusting at 26 knots, so strong wind at Bermuda, temperature around 73 degrees, and relative humidity at 85%. So taking a look at our POV chart, currently green across the board, still highlighting a yellow for our surface winds, 25 knots. We are forecasting, and that criteria is 29 knots, and only a 25% chance of that being violated with this forecast. That'll complete the updated weather forecast. Any questions?
And the 25% chance of violation means a 75% chance of go.
Right. For a backup day, tomorrow does look to be the better of the two. Just to be full disclosure, tomorrow's a 95% chance of go, less than 5% chance of violation tomorrow.
Well, we have been down here at Wallops with 75%. Even I think one time we were 65%, and it happened. So I'm going to have faith today. And something to mention, first time since we've been broadcasting rocket launches live, we are on simultaneously in 3 areas from where we're from now: Westfield Community Programming Channel 15, Southwick Television, or Southwick Community Television Channel 15, and Agawam Media Channel 12.
And if you're watching us online at westfieldtv.org or on YouTube, our good friends at Northrop Grumman have put out a great place of how you can watch this and where you can watch this. So let's take a look at the map of where you can watch things here for this launch. Just after launch, you'd be locally here on the island. Plus 30 seconds, you're in the greater area. Plus 60 seconds, you're moving out now towards Washington, D.C. in the lower Delaware Peninsula. At plus 90 seconds, you're moving up into Philadelphia and New York City. And plus 180 seconds at stage separation, or at stage ignition, you can see it all the way up into Connecticut. It's going to be very, very tough on a day like today with clear blue skies, and also the cloud cover and the clipper up on the New England area to see this launch.
Right. Unfortunately, we're missing that right now.
Yes. I'm not too complaining about that, but that's our launch viewing angles. Let's take a look in on the rocket itself from NASA TV, and then we'll take a look at the Kenny cam. In room 2 what? 2
Don't say it. Don't say it.
2 what?
2 something. 2 something. I already spoke with the people down at the desk, and they have put that room number as a note into our registration so that when we're called back up.
Yes.
The room number is.
Can I get the next room to you? Make life easier so we don't have to run so much cable?
That would work.
Yes.
That would
I don't
work.
think I'd mind 2 double beds.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting on running 250 feet of RG6 quad shield, but that's what we had to do in order to get this to
hold
work.
on 1 second.
Stage 1 controller ODMs are armed.
Ops 2, step 394, set stage 1 controller EPV VRES.
LC Ops 2.
Okay, with about 20 minutes to go before the launch. This one's an interesting launch. Based upon who, well, you did some prep work, and so did I on this one. I actually have a great story about this one.
Good. I think we actually have a slide. Now, Northrop Grumman, they like to name each mission after someone who's contributed to space. And this time around, this vehicle is named the SS Pierce Sellers. All right. Now, he's a native of Crowbar, Sussex, England, and he was born in 1955 and later trained as a Royal Air Force cadet. He received a bachelor's degree in ecological science and a PhD in biometeorology from the University of Edinburgh and the University of Leeds. His 30-year NASA career began in 1982 when Sellers moved to the United States to join the research team at Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. In 1986, as a research meteorologist, he created the simple biosphere model, the first model to realistically simulate the interaction of global photosynthesis and Earth's climate. Then after working for 14 years as a NASA scientist, Sellers achieved a childhood dream and joined NASA's astronaut corps in 1996. He helped complete construction of the space station during the STS-112,
Is being worked by the flight
STS-121.
control team at Wallops. It is a tradition for each Cygnus vehicle to be named after
And this is
a
what I'm talking
significant
about.
space.
Let's tune her out. I'm going to shut off the audio for that.
So he's logged nearly 35 days and 41 extra vehicular activity hours during 6 spacewalks. Now, he retired as an astronaut in 2011 and returned to Goddard as the Deputy Director of the Science and Exploration Directorate. In 2016, he received NASA's Distinguished Service Medal, and that's the agency's highest honor, before passing away later that year at the age of 61. Now, Pete, you had something going on with
So in
Pierce
2011, we all talked last year when we did the DM2 launch in 2011. We talked about STS-135, the last shuttle mission, and let's take a look at the NASA feed because we have a great shot where we usually are over in the press section. So in 2011, I was allowed to go down with Channel 40, my old TV station, and work with them on the final shuttle launch. So as part of that, I was in the ABC trailer, and they were working out of there for the locals. They allowed them space in the trailer to work. So I'm diligently helping Dave Madsen and the photographer edit, and in walks an astronaut with a couple NASA PR guys. So I'm like, oh, cool, astronaut, very nice. So I'm sitting there with the astronaut, and the weather starts coming up for some reason. I have no idea why, but weather starts coming up. So I started talking to weather, and that last shuttle launch, very low cloud deck. If you've seen video of it, the shuttle disappears into the clouds, maybe like 20 or 30 seconds after liftoff. All morning they're tanking. The weather's marginal. So this astronaut and I start getting into a discussion about weather, and back and forth, and we're talking about reading the models and how it's going to go, and the astronaut doesn't think it's going to happen, and he's reading the models, and I'm looking at it, I don't know, I think it's going to happen. So back and forth. This is like a 15-minute exchange back and forth. So the astronaut leaves, right? So we had a great conversation, and no mean or anything, just great conversation. And I said, I'll bet you $1 that whatever. And some of the photographers are laughing. So the astronaut walks out, and the people from ABC are looking at me like I've just grown a third head. And I said, well, what do you mean? I said, So they said, well, do you know who that is? And they said, that's Piers. And I'm like, okay, so what's the deal? He's an astronaut. No, they don't. You don't understand. This guy's got doctorates in meteorology and climate change and climate study and things like that. And I went, okay. I'm like, oh boy, I just took on like a heavyweight in the field. And they're like, you did, and you were doing okay. but it was interesting.
You held your own,
right? So, I ended up seeing Piers later on in the day. Let's take a look at his slide again. I ended up seeing Piers later on in the day, and I said to him after the launch happened, and everybody's kind of happy after that. The launch happened, everything went off just fine. And I said, I need to apologize. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, I need to apologize for the fact that I kind of took you on meteorology, and that's your thing. I mean, I didn't know all the advanced degrees you have. He goes, so what? He goes, so what's your point? I'm like, well, I feel really bad. I say, I didn't want to. He says, you actually held your own. I had fun talking with you about it. And he said, in the end, you were right.
Oh, really?
Because he said, we got the launch off. And he said, I thank you for being right, because now I can get out of here a day earlier and get back to my job.
So if you were right, he was
he was wrong.
Wrong.
Right. But it was a cool story, and I just one of my few run-ins with an astronaut. Obviously, I've run into Katie Coleman a couple times.
Yeah, we both have,
because of her connections with the area and living in the area now and retired.
Yes.
But I also connected with Katie down there because she was very good friends with Dave Madsen. She had known Dave for years. So, but it was just kind of cool seeing all the different people. And the actor Seth Green, short guy, red hair.
Oh yes.
Yes, he was running around there doing all kinds of media stuff, and I wasn't trying to, but all morning I kept bumping into him. And like after the third time, he just pointed at me and smiled as we're running into each other. So after he was done all his media stuff, and I said, I'm not stalking you. We just keep bumping into each other. No, he goes, I think it's funny. He goes, you're like the face I'm picking out.
Right.
As I'm running around this, it's a fairly small compound, but as I'm running around, and you're the face I'm picking out. I said, I've loved this stuff since I was a kid. And he goes, me too. He goes, that's why I'm here. He goes, I would have come for free, but I think I'm getting paid for some of these gigs.
if I were to run into Seth Green, I don't think I could get past what's in my mind when I think of him, which are his voice characterizations on some TV shows.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back to your slides. We'll take a look at what's going on here. So Northrop Grumman uses Cygnus. We've seen this in person as part of their CRS-2 contract now.
Check steps 3898,
And
399, and 400.
it is actually one of the most versatile cargo carriers they have out there. Carry one of the biggest internally pressurized loads.
Right.
So at over 8,000 pounds. And we're listening to the launch director. So they're almost done prop
And
loading.
launch team will be coming up on our poll to proceed with final countdown.
And that's the important part.
Yeah, we'll wait for that. But anyway, so they've been doing this for a while now, and you can read on the slide all the stuff going on with that.
And CMD, I'll wait for your call on step 408.
So Cygnus is also listening to some of the press conferences in the past couple of days. Cygnus is also what Northrop Grumman is trying to base some of their systems off for the Lunar Gateway.
Right.
Some of the modules for the Lunar Gateway. Also for the upcoming private space station. Now, you may have all heard the ISS is retiring. And some people have said it's a couple of years away. Well, that couple of years means 2030, folks.
Right.
The ISS isn't retiring until 2030.
Go ahead, CMD.
Yeah, LC CMD. Cygnus is in launch mode and nominal.
Copy that, CMD. We'll check 408 complete.
Let's go back to the Cygnus feed.
Okay, launch team, step 409. At this time, I want to poll to proceed with final countdown.
We'll stand by.
GSO.
GSO, go.
RSO.
RSO is go.
TD.
TD's go.
Prop lead.
Prop lead is go.
Stage 1.
Stand by 1, LC.
MES1.
MES1 is go.
GC.
GC is go.
ACE.
ACE is go.
Mars.
Mars is go.
Stage 1 is go.
Stage 1 is go. CMD.
CMD is go.
LD.
LD is go.
NG.
Northrop Grumman is proud to honor renowned NASA astronaut and climatologist Pierce Sellers. Throughout his career, Pierce made countless contributions to Earth and climate science, and his research revolutionized the methods for utilizing satellite data and analytics to increase our understanding of Earth's biosphere and changing climate. With unbridled optimism, dedication, and passion for the future sustainability of our ecosystem, Pierce relentlessly strived for the betterment of humankind. It is therefore an honor to return his legacy to the International Space Station that he helped to construct, as the SS Pierce Sellers and Northrop Grumman are go for launch.
Copy that, NG, and we are go to proceed with final countdown. Check step 409. And launch team will be coming up on engine evacuation in just a few seconds here. And hashtag Godspeed Little Noni.
Yeah. So all the go no goes are all go.
So why don't we take a look?
LC step 410. You go to start engine evac.
LC off 2, engine evacuation started.
You want to see what science is on board?
Let's take a look and see what science is on board.
Back with a live look at the pad from NASA Wallops, and we're hearing the launch director's net on the back feed there.
Check steps 412 and 413.
So now we'll take a look at
414 is not required.
Taking a look at the rollout from the horizontal integration facility on the short ride from the pad over, and this is the Antares 230 configuration. You want to talk about that?
And I'll correct you this time around because last time I said Antares 230. It's actually the Antares 230 Plus, which means it does not have to throttle down when it hits maximum dynamic pressure.
Yeah, they stiffened it up to give it a little bit more performance, and that was an improvement about 2 years ago, I would say. They stiffened the body of the rocket a little bit, give it more structural integrity so it could plow through maximum dynamic pressure, max Q, without slowing down like most rockets do.
Right. Yeah, a lot of them have to slow down and throttle back up. And you know, once this vehicle is in the air.
Copy that. Check 415 complete.
MVAC chill is starting. Sorry, engine chill is starting. RD-180 chill is starting.
Right.
Do we want to give a shout out to Tim Dodd? Can we confirm the pointy end is up and the flamey end is down?
We'll just confirm that and hope, and we'll hope that Everyday Astronaut is listening.
Hope it stays that way. I like Tim. I'm so jealous. I am jealous, but not in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I wish I had the time to do what he's doing, because I could do this all the time.
Right.
I mean, we're down here on our own nickel, folks. Nobody's paying for this.
I wouldn't mind driving around the country doing this.
Yeah.
T-minus 7 minutes.
All right, I have 7 minutes to go. So right up on what that slide covers the first stage and the second stage, and that's where we're talking about the engines. And that first stage, that engine uses the propellant that's been loaded in, and on certain shots that you can see it venting off.
Yeah, RP1 kerosene and liquid oxygen.
Yes, and then the second stage is solid. So when it lights, it just goes.
Yes.
And a lot of that, it happens only over a few minutes. So we actually go right from a stage 1 ignition, and then liftoff happens 3.7 seconds after that. Then you have main engine cutoff. You might hear it called MECO. That's at 3 minutes and 18 seconds. And I know in between liftoff and main engine cutoff, there is max Q, which they haven't put into my paperwork here. After main engine cutoff, you have stage 1 separation.
It goes for a couple seconds.
Yes, and that happens at 3 minutes and 24 seconds into flight. At 3 minutes and 54 seconds into flight, you do have fairing separation.
Check 419.
And then at 3 minutes and 59 seconds, interstage separation. So once it gets going, everything happens really quick.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Stage 2 ignition happens at 4 minutes and 7 seconds. And then stage 2 burnout and orbit insertion happens at 6 minutes and 49 seconds. So that's about the length of flight for the bird, and then the payload separation. That's when the Cygnus spacecraft comes out. That happens at 8 minutes and 49 seconds into flight.
I think you were talking over Keith there. I heard Keith jump in, warning everybody, as he usually does, that the stream is a little bit behind the actual
Just
event.
a little, yes.
Event.
5 minutes. Ops 2, step 420. Initiate.
Are you heading over to your perch?
Yep.
Priming started.
Yep. I will.
Avionics to internal power.
LC Ops 1, avionics, internal power on.
Internal power is a good call. All right, I will be going down to my perch 200 feet down at the other end of the property.
To the west.
And and give me a warning at about T-minus 1 minute so I can keep my eyes peeled.
Roger, LEC 1, check 422,
All right.
and Ops 1, open FTS umbi loop.
So we're getting closer to the terminal count here from Wallops Island and Chincoteague Island where we are. Coming up for launch, the weather still looks green, all green all the way around on the board. No violations.
Receiver indications are nominal.
We had a couple interesting things this morning that popped up as we go.
Ops, send all arm command.
Some of the interesting things that came up, the aircraft that does radar surveillance for the area and keeps planes out of the launch zone had a radar problem, believe it or not. Had to land. Stand by, we're waiting for range status.
LC timing verified.
TD's range is green. Copy, range green. Copy, priming has been verified.
Range greens, we're down to about 3 minutes to go here. The plane actually had to land and reset the radar with ground technicians, and then had to go and resume station.
Phase 3 dynamic limits will be active at T-minus 3 minutes.
It did not cause any hiccups in the actual countdown. They were in a hold at the time, and the plane got airborne really quickly, so I was able to resume station and call range green. That was the only hiccup they were working. The only other hiccup that was talked about was in the weather forecast is the possibility of violation due to wind. That violation due to wind did not precipitate. It will precipitate later on in the afternoon as it would get a little bit more gusty around here.
3 minutes.
Auto sequence start. Podium bus voltages and currents nominal.
Copy, all like 1. GNC1, verify ready for nav mode.
LC GNC1, orb nav ready for nav.
And Ops 2, step 435, switch to nav.
LC Ops 2, switch to nav.
We're now taking a look at the CandyCam and the live feed from NASA. You're going to see that rocket light on the upper screen first.
Passing T-minus 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
We're at about 2 minutes, 30 seconds. That stream is a little bit behind, so you're going to see the rocket light first on the CandyCam. We're going to go to that camera initially until he loses sight of it. And then we are going over to the launch camera, and we're going to follow the feed from NASA. Probably NASA TV at that point. But so that's what's going on. We see we're about 4 or 5 miles away from the rocket on the CandyCam. And you can hear that little brief thing, and that's a two-way radio that I'm transmitting to the other end for. We're now taking different feeds on the NASA feed, and we're coming up on just before the rocket launches. We're about a minute and a half away from this countdown, and everything is green right now for the feed from NASA.
T-minus 1 minute, 30 seconds.
As you can see, the tripod has been loosened. I am going to get off for a second here, and I'm going to try to stand up and see if I can see this thing myself. We're now going to the terminal count at about a minute left, and we'll leave you to the audio from NASA TV and from Ken's audio.
Minus 1 minute. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Have engine ignition.
Yep. And the interior launch the vehicle while it's flight facility. Engines are at 100% thrust. Attitude is nominal. EVC is nominal.
3 now. Remain steady. Nominal. Power is nominal. Thousand feet per second clock. On. Nominal. Now 1,000 per second. Bottle down. No. Nico.
So we both just step out to enjoy the launch.
You stepped out. I had to track it with the camera.
So the Wallops feed is now out. Let's go over to the NASA feed.
You know, when I was over on the balcony facing Wallops and pad OA, I got that rumble. And we have a special microphone on the camera. I'm pretty sure we got some really good audio of that this time. So that means we were 4 minutes and 7 seconds into flight.
Yep. Still following the Wallops feed. Did they have the stage 2 ignition? Looks like on an infrared camera. A little hazy out there.
None of our cameras were able to pull that off.
But if you go over to NASA TV, they have animation, which we don't have on the other feed.
If you happen to be up in the vacuum of space right now, this is what you would see.
So they've already called fairing separation, but you'll see that because the NASA feed is lagging behind a little bit. As you can see, I don't even know if I have a double box set up for that. I probably don't. But the NASA feed, let's see if I can do that. There's the fairing separation that they called out. They're still tracking it with a tracking camera from here on the ground.
Performance remains nominal. TVC and attitude are nominal.
So I'm just realizing something right now, Peter.
What's that?
This is the first launch in 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 launches where we did not have a scrub. The ones that you and I have worked on.
Okay. I believe you are correct.
This is quite the experience. You know, you always get a little disappointed on the days when you set up and you wait and wait and wait, and it's a scrub. It's a beautiful day out here in Chincoteague. Lots of people are out here viewing the launch. Beautiful skies.
A little chilly, but not bad.
Not too bad. That was a nice launch to witness.
Yeah, we're still watching NASA TV tracking now. Cygnus, the vehicle is exposed to the vacuum of space.
TVC is nominal.
Because they're still tracking. They got a great tracking camera. Even this day, you can still see a little bit of the exhaust engine nozzle. Nice hum bar there.
Yeah, and we're almost at stage 2 burnout at this point in time too.
All right, so they dropped the camera on the NASA feed. That's the launch pad.
Yes. There's still a little there.
Still a little bit there. As you can see, some of the cold thruster jets are making sure that it's on target.
And it's flickering a little bit. It looks like we might have SECO.
Back to the NASA feed. So a great liftoff here. On time. I know that there's a guest of mine that's thoroughly thrilled. She's got her first launch in.
Yeah, after the jinx a few weeks ago.
after the 3 days of weather in Florida, winter.
Yeah, you know what? This wasn't a Falcon 9, which that would have been, but it's an Antares, and an Antares was my first rocket as well. So absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Right, and a very good. I'm still surprised, and we've had this discussion on previous broadcasts, that the Antares is not used more, and they're not marketing it for payloads.
I mean, this thing will lift a lot of weight.
Right, it'll lift a lot of weight to low Earth orbit. 8,000 pounds of cargo plus the weight of the spacecraft.
Right.
So it is a very capable rocket that's only being used twice a year right now. As we're looking out our window, people are starting to evacuate the island.
Yeah, I hope you don't plan on going anywhere soon, because it's going to take a while to get over that causeway, and then once you get over over onto Wallops Island, that always gets packed. You do have traffic jams here whenever there is a launch.
And so that is the beauty of what we did this time around, and got work smarter, not harder. And we are watching this, and now catching it from a vantage point that's far better than what we've had in the past.
30 seconds to payload separation.
We are, believe it or not, they're calling out payload separation in a few seconds. So second stage has finished, but we are in a hotel in Wallops Island, and we had great views of the launch this time around. I'm just very happy that we started doing this in the proper way.
You know, the only thing that beats this is physically being over at the Wallops Flight Facility.
But you know what? We wouldn't have as much capability as we have right here. So.
No, we don't. We would not be able to push this out live. And
we were able to do that last time on their Wi-Fi.
It was a little sketchy.
Yes.
And of course, you're out in the middle of a field on a hill, and there's no structure, there's no facilities, and that makes a difference when you decide to go out and you're waiting for hours and
LD
hours.
Loop has just confirmed payload separation.
All right, so we're over at this point now 9 minutes into flight.
Yep, that is correct. They're still calling trajectories nominal. So far we have a very good liftoff, and we're going to make it right to 1 o'clock. Now, if I was smart, I'd figure out how to do a replay. Did you bring your chip down with you by any chance?
I was smart enough to put the chip in the camera and hit start and then hit stop. So, yes.
Do you have it with you?
But I did not bring it with me.
Because I could load it right in and we could play your launch back. Mm-hmm. You want to go get it?
I can go get it now.
All right.
Can you verify helium pulse purging is in progress?
So now what you're listening to on the launch director's loop,
verify HPGN2 supply.
On the NASA TV feed, you're seeing...
and that concludes today's coverage of the Northrop Grumman Antares launch. NG-17, Cygnus is now on its way to the International Space Station. Docking is scheduled for early Monday morning. The next Antares launch is scheduled from Wallops will be later this summer. And the next launch from Wallops will be a NASA or a Steiner rocket launch currently scheduled for the evening of March 21st. So thanks for joining us today, and have a good weekend.
And that was Keith Kohler from NASA Public Relations, and we'll close out that feed. Keith was thanking everybody for showing up, and that concludes now. What they're doing now is you heard the launch director talking about this just before they wrapped up on their net. They're now doing the safing of the pad, so purging any gases that might be in the lines, making sure any launch abort systems are on the ground are terminated or safed, and making sure the site is available to go back into quickly. Since they're using rocket-grade kerosene and or liquid oxygen, you can go into the site relatively quickly once that plume clears. And honestly, most of that plume is water vapor. So the rocket itself is burning that high orange flame. they put water down at the base of the flame and creates a lot of steam. So a lot of the plume you see coming off of it is actually steam. So that's something. And now they're safing the pad, and we can take a look at the pad while I'm putting the card in. We could take a look at the pad, and you're seeing that the launch transporter erector is in the launch position, and they're safing the pad right now. We're taking a look at the Northrop Grumman launch control room, Cygnus control room, sorry. And while my partner is talking over there, I can load up the file of a replay of the launch.
I'm sure I can find something to talk about, because when there's a microphone in front of me, naturally I'm going to be talking. Lots of, we've actually been to some monumental launches just this past couple of years. This is our generation for spaceflight now. 50 years ago, you had the Apollo missions. You had the first man on the moon. Now, thanks to SpaceX, we are going to be going back to the moon after over 50 years.
Right.
So that's the Starship program that's currently...
Well, and Artemis.
And Artemis, and that's Starship, of course, is Boca Chica, Texas. And we were there to actually see Starship fly and land itself and stick the landing successfully in that configuration.
Similar to the last shuttle launch, a lot of it we heard.
Yes.
STS-135 went into the clouds at about 1,200 feet or 2,000 feet, and so did Starship. Now, we heard that one, and you remember my comment when the engine's cut at 40,000 feet. I said, well, it's 1 minute and 10 seconds to crash or land.
Right.
And luckily we saw the first landing, and that just,
and on that vehicle, we actually heard those engines shut off. That's just it was a mammoth rocket then, and it's going to be even more mammoth when it's full-sized. But the other monumental launch that we were very blessed and lucky to attend was in Florida, and that was the DM-2.
Yep, the first man launched to the International Space Station from SpaceX. Let's take a look at a replay of the launch before we leave, everybody, and because we're cutting out at 1 o'clock for most places. Here is a replay of the launch. You can hear it long after it.
Yes, it's a Doppler effect. We're so many miles away, so it takes a little bit of time for the sound to reach us. And it looked like I lost it just as it went into max Q.
Yep.
Examples include investigations looking at the effects.
So now we're taking a look at the ISS from NASA TV in the control room, and we're going to go with that right on to the end, I think. But we're a lot of cool stuff. Nice launch today. Beautiful weather, beautiful skies. Got to see it all the way to main engine cutoff.
This was a great experience.
Yeah. It was. It was a great viewing day for everybody out there. A little windy, but it was very, very cool.
Mm-hmm. And, hey, it wasn't windy where we were.
That's true. For the first time.
Yes.
We weren't cold, hungry, tired. You need to go to the facilities.
Wet.
You need to go to the facility. We've been wet. Yes. Frozen. We've been frozen.
Yeah, 0 degrees out in the hill.
We had one that was 23 degrees at liftoff.
Yes.
So we're taking a look at the space station control room, but we're going to leave you. That's it. I think we're done. What do you say?
I'm done. I have nothing else for you.
You got nothing else?
Nope.
All right.
Let's go check out Chincoteague.
That'll wrap up our coverage here on Channel 15. We'll talk to you down the road. Possibly for a SpaceX launch tomorrow. We're researching that one to see if we can pull it off. We might be able to pull it off with the gear we have set up. So it's a possibility. We're checking on timing for that one.
It's going to be really tough for my camera to hit something going on down in Florida.
I know, but we have the magic of the interwebs. We can pull in feeds.
The interwebs is awesome.
Yes. All right, we'll leave you with that.